everyone, it's Malva from Coaching Mother and All. Welcome to Tuesday Tea. Today I have the wonderful Lisa McGrath with me. I have had the pleasure to write an amazing book with Lisa. That's how I had gotten to know her initially. However, when the time that we had spent together had passed, I have gotten to know her as a wonderful grandma, as a wonderful woman who actually supports other women in their journey of self-discovery and development and personal development as well. To be honest, I have read not one but many of Lisa's blogs, and for me, she is an eye-opener every time she writes something. So from my perspective, I am super excited and super honest to have you here, Lisa. Thank you very much for joining me for Tuesday Tea.
Thank you. I'm so excited, and I have my cup right here. So
so do I. Thank you very much.
Excited.
Lisa, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself so the people watching can actually kind of connect with you more?
Yes. Well, first of all, I believe we have more in common than what separates us, right? And so as women, we wear many hats, and whether it's, starts with daughter, but then it's might be a wife, mother, grandma. As you mentioned, I have some beautiful grandchildren, if I don't say so.
I saw the pictures.
And
I'm a sucker for children.
Me too. Oh gosh, I just miss the snuggles. But in any case, I'm a teacher at heart, okay? And I believe that we're all teachers. We're teacher and student at the same time. We just need to open ourselves up to that. And as such, as a teacher, it brings in the whole philosophy that I live by, really opened me up to being a life coach and helping other women find their just clarity, purpose, direction. Because I know that many times in my life, whether it was with a divorce, whether it was my empty nest, with a major health crisis, that sometimes you feel like you're at a dead end, but I know that really we're at a crossroads. We're at a crossroads. And so I feel honored that women have come into my life and I have been able to guide them, to empower them, to find that clarity, their purpose, their direction, so they can live an intentional life. So I've combined all my education, all my life experiences, and everything that I've learned about being a human being, being a spiritual being, what we all need to live intentionally, to live happily ever after.
I love it. Okay, so for those that don't know, or maybe this is the first time that they have ever come across this term, what does a life coach do? So what do you do?
So for me, I empower, and again, it's women, to really, well, I've designed these paths, okay? The path of self-awareness, of mindset, of self-discovery, focusing on a goal, and really achieving that goal, whether it be someone like, I have a member, Jean, who her focus goal was health issues, and she's now lost over 60 pounds. Wow. I have another member that she raised her grandchildren, that it was an unfortunate accident that she had to raise her children. So she put her life really on hold to do this. And then as they grew up and they were leaving, she was able to fulfill her dream. Donna went back to school. Donna is now an RN, and she's working to help other people. And again, she didn't have the confidence in herself. And same thing with my other members. Oftentimes they're feeling unworthy. And so they put their self-care on the back burner and they take care of everyone else. And then until they just stop, and they usually, like I said, they feel like they're at a dead end, I help show them that no, you're not. It's a crossroads. We can pivot. And I show them and guide them down these paths. So as a life coach, I don't have all the answers, but
No, you don't.
I can guide them. And what I do have are a lot of questions that my clients, my members, they don't ask themselves until our sessions. And then all of a sudden, their paths are illuminated and they're able to discover what their next best steps are. And their journey becomes so different from where they started.
Yeah. So you mentioned that the women that you work with have, let's say, low self-esteem, or they don't find their self-worth, and these are some of, or these characteristics are also aligned to the women that I work with, because I kind of don't understand where all of this is coming from. Yes, I do too sometimes second guess myself and think, oh, can I really do that? But then I'm like, hey, snap out of it. You can, you'll make a mistake. So,
Right.
and then you'll move on, and then you'll move forward and you'll learn. If you don't do that, you're just not kind of developing. But, I know that I can be tough with myself, so I'm okay with tough love. Unfortunately, with my customers, I can't allow myself to do that at times, and I have to do it gently. But for me, I don't understand why women who are smart, who are pretty, who have achieved so much, who have, like you said, taken care of people left, right, and center, either from school helping them, or being teachers, or having their own children or grandchildren, so they're givers all the time, and yet they don't see their own worth when they're valuable, to the extent that if someone were ever to pay them for everything that they're doing, they'd be extremely rich. So
Yes,
my
absolutely.
question to you is, knowing all of that, why is it that women don't believe in their own worth and value?
From my point, it really goes back to your childhood, and you got to remember the values that you have, or that were given to you, or that you adopted. They might not be yours. They might be outdated. Okay, so I'll share a story. When I was a child, it happened with my parents. I even had a teacher that did the same thing. When I said that I wanted to be a writer, I wanted to be a playwright and write these great dramas. And I was told, no, that you're a woman. Your job is to get married. Your job is to have children and raise a family. And that's how that was how I was raised. And that was my belief system that was given to me.
Yeah.
And it was ingrained in me. And I had to realize that no, that was an outdated system, and it wasn't my system. And until I could stop and really confront the values and the system, the belief systems that they tried to ingrain in me, I had to confront them and develop my own.
Yeah.
And that takes practice.
Yeah.
Then it takes a guide, because it's a difficult journey on your own. And so when you can break through that and confront it and begin to realize that's not my belief system, and then you're able to move a step further and realize I need to set boundaries. These are personal boundaries, and I need to take care of myself. And as you keep walking these steps, you get closer and closer to the ability to really connect your own heart, your mind, your body, and spirit. And that self-confidence, that motivation, that self-esteem, it begins to spill over into every area of your life.
Yeah.
And that's what we have to teach, that when you are kind and loving to yourself, it ripples out. It ripples out to everyone else. And so there's power in really relying and getting to know your individual personal powers, your strength, your wisdom. You have the power of zeal, of understanding, faith. All of these things make you who you are. But if you're denying them, if you're pushing them aside, then you're really not living your best life. You're living under the facade of someone else's truth for you.
Yeah.
And only you can go in. And that's why my my business is a pilgrimage to self. It's going that personal pilgrimage, that journey to go in. And when you go within and you connect and you marry all of that together, you know, the heart, the mind, the body, and spirit, you become stronger. You become your authentic self.
Yeah. Well, see, I'm listening to you and I'm getting chills. Like, not, this is not the first time, for many reasons, because the things that you're saying actually completely align with my personal beliefs and the work system that I have developed. And because, you know, you said that a lot of the things that are happening nowadays with us women and men too are the consequences of the ways that we were raised. And then you mentioned that raised, or the society that we were growing up in. And then you mentioned that you have developed your line of work with the women that you're cooperating with. And that is where kind of the name came, the pilgrimage to self.
Yes.
And it kind of hit a home run with me, because that's exactly the same thing. And I'm honored to actually be saying that. This is exactly the same process that I have had. And, you know, whoever is watching this can say that you are a mentor. You are someone who is much more, but with much more experience than I do in life. I'm much younger than you. And so having the possibility to actually compare myself to you in this positive light is amazing for me, because when I was thinking of the name for my business is Coaching Mother and All. And it's because I do coaching, but I'm a mother first and foremost, and I want to take care of mothers as well, and all the other people, meaning fathers, parents, and businessmen, because it starts from a mother. It starts from, you know, the mother that gave you birth, and it starts from someone who is actually going to raise you and who's going to ingrain their truths into you as a little child when you grow. And, you know, whatever the parents speak to their children, that is going to become their children's inner voice later on. And I do hope it's going to be a positive one, because like you said, some people, because of that inner voice, don't believe in themselves, and or have value systems that they have to reevaluate when they're older, to realize that they're not their own, they're someone else's, and they don't really agree with that.
Exactly.
So I'm proud to actually
yeah.
To say that. Thank you very much. I really appreciated that.
Thank you.
Okay, so I have another question for you. Now, you said you help women discover their own self as to what they want. Do you think that this is something that comes with age, or that women, no matter their age, they should start investing their time to discover their own selves?
First of all, I wish I had had the program that I've put together. I wish it was the program I needed, and I needed it way back when. And it started even when I was a little girl. I needed this whole idea of a growth mindset, to be able to know that no matter the circumstances, it is in my power to choose how I'm going to respond.
Yes.
And when I start, like I said, when you have these lessons, the earlier you learn them, the better your life will be, the richer your life will be. It took me years to really develop the system that I have developed for a pilgrimage to self. And it started way back when I really didn't even know it. I was reading a book by Rumor Godden, and she shared this Indian proverb, and it has become the philosophy of my life. And it's what I built a pilgrimage to self on. And it's called A House with Four Rooms. And the Indian proverb says that every person should think of themselves as having four rooms. You have a physical, a mental, an emotional, and spiritual room. Mm-hmm. And you have to go in to each one of these rooms daily, even if it's a short period of time, just to go in and open a window to air it out. Yeah. But you have to go into each daily to be a complete person. But the philosophy is even deeper than that, because the proverb warns that you don't want to stay in any one room for great periods of time. especially ignoring and denying those other rooms.
Yeah.
And oftentimes the women that I work with have gotten stuck in the emotional room. So much so that they're spending way too much time there. They've almost pulled that cover right over their head, and life is passing them by. And so when I can introduce them to the philosophy of a house with 4 rooms and to that self-care, that becomes the foundation.
Love it.
And then, yeah, then what I can do, it's almost like taking their hand. I guide them and bring them on these paths, as I call them, to really living their intentional life. So they learn the life management skills that they need. So it could be, again, learning the power of yet. You don't know how to do it yet. Don't be saying I can't do something, because whatever you tell yourself, then you're exactly right. But when you learn the power of yet, I don't know how to use this technology yet.
Mhm.
You're open to learning.
Yeah.
You're not closing that door. Remember, on our house of 4 rooms, we want to keep the doors open.
Yeah.
We want that fresh air to come in. And so it's important that we learn these skills. In my master classes, we have financial literacy. We talk about self-awareness, motivation, goal setting. We develop forgiveness practices. We have gratitude practices. And all of these master classes lead their paths to living an intentional life, learning to make appropriate decisions, intentional decisions for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Amazing. The reason why I asked you your question, like who do you work with, and why do some people forget about themselves? I don't know if you would agree with me, but we as women, sometimes when we do devote ourselves to either the career or just the family, so raising children, we sometimes forget that, I call them buckets. We
Yeah,
need to fill our own bucket in order for it to be full, because you can't give someone something if you don't have it yourself. So if you
yeah,
don't have self-patience, if you don't have self-love, then you can't give that to someone else, because a happy wife, happy mom is going to be a happy life, because then she is going to be extremely fulfilled and happy and joyful to share that time with you as a family, as opposed to, for example, regretful or angry because something's not working. And then you mentioned the power of yet. We love the power of yet, and the growth mindset is something that we exercise every day. And it's funny because my daughter, when she was 2 years old, and we were singing the song The Power of Yet, and whenever something was not going, we would say, you can do it, try again, you don't know how to do it yet, and so on and so forth. And I sometimes catch myself smiling, because I'm like, is daddy home? Because when we look through the window, we can actually see when daddy's car comes into the driveway. I ask, is daddy home? And she says, no, not yet. The power of yet. And so I know that she doesn't understand it just yet, but it's already ingrained in her. And the second thing, like you said, some of the value systems that people have as adults are because of what they were taught as children. I kind of have to stop myself as a mom consciously, because I'm worried about my child. I don't want her to fall off the monkey bars, or I don't want her to slip. And I'm like, baby, be careful, don't do that, or watch it, please. And then she turns around and she says, Mama, I can do it. Trust me. And I'm like, oh my goodness, yes, you can, sweetheart. You can do whatever you want. So,
yeah.
When we actually listen to our world, we can actually change the things. Even if our intention is good, we sometimes ingrain things that are not too good, meaning, no, don't do it because
Right.
of something.
Yeah.
It's amazing how actually aligned the businesses that we have together are. I'm, to be honest, like I'd sign up for your program as well.
Yeah. Well, we all need coaches, and that's what a life coach is. It's a mentor.
Yes.
And so we all need this. And even myself, I have a business mentor,
Yes.
because I don't know everything yet. And so I need to learn. And so that's, again, we need these influencers in our lives. They help us and they ask the right questions
Mm.
because you don't know what you don't know. And so you need to be able to ask those questions. And as you said earlier, I use the cliche about the mom or anyone actually, but that we have that habit of taking care of everyone else. But when we go on an airplane, they tell us if we have an emergency, put the oxygen mask on you first
Mm.
before you help someone else. And a lot of times we forget this.
Yes.
It's a great metaphor for life.
Yeah.
We need to make sure that we know exactly what we're doing because, quite frankly, our actions speak louder than our words.
Yes.
So your little girl is watching you, and so she's listening to what you say, but more importantly, she's watching what you do.
Mm.
And so that was the advice I used to tell when my boys were teenagers, and I'd say, you need to be respectful, because I would make sure that if as a young lady that going out on a date with you, and even when I met them, I would say, don't just listen to what they're saying. You watch how they behave. You watch what they're doing, because that's where those self boundaries and all of those things come in. And we have to have mutual respect for one another for us to have that strength and to rely on our strength and so we can grow, so we can blossom.
Mm. Yeah, like you said, like we everyone, not just we as the customers that are potential customers that are listening, or the ladies that are listening to this Tuesday Tea or any other women empowerment program. When I say we, I don't mean just you listeners. I mean we as coaches as well. We need mentors, we need coaches, we need people that we can turn to. And it's not because we don't know, but just like you said, asking or having the right question asked towards you provokes your thinking to actually see the root cause of your behavior. And then the question is that the kind of behavior that you want to exhibit, or is it something that you want to change? If you want to change, then we have to go back to why is it like that, right? So like you said, I'm scared of coaches who don't have mentors or don't have coaches themselves,
Yeah.
because then I'm like, okay, so how are you going to know how to teach me, and what is my process of learning if you don't learn by yourself as well?
Right. And we're always, like I said, we're teacher and student at the same time. We need to continually learn and be lifelong learners.
Yes, very true. Very true. All right. So if I were to pick your brain and say, Lisa, I would like you to give me 3 tips or 3 pieces of advice that the listeners of the Tuesday Tea can actually either implement or have a think about, what would they be?
Well, first of all, I have to, go back to what I said about the house with 4 rooms. I really do believe you need to have a solid foundation, because that's the core of who you are and how you're going to live your life. So go back to that house with 4 rooms and do something daily for yourself in that physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual space. That means it could be your diet. It could be monitoring water. It could be going out for a walk, exercise. It could be cleaning up your physical space, right? Your mental is your intellectual, but also be mindful. What thoughts are you having? Because your thoughts really create your feelings, which then propel you to take action. So be mindful. For your emotional well-being, practice breathing exercises, journaling, meditation. For spiritual health, I recommend going out and communing with nature. Ground yourself, take off your shoes and stand on the ground and get centered. Meditate, pray daily. This is a daily process for every human being. 4 rooms. So that's number 1. Number 2, I recommend that you have a work-life balance. Now, I'm like everyone else. I put too much on my plate sometimes. I'm just going to have all these balls juggling in the air. Well, you don't want to just be a workaholic. You have other areas of your life that, just like that oxygen mask, you need to make sure that you're taking care of. Okay? That's your health, right? It's your family. If you said mama's not happy, no one's not happy. So we want to make sure that we're strong. We have a work-life balance. We schedule it. We don't overload ourselves. I used to be one of, and I'm still, the to-do list.
Yeah.
But I recognize that on that to-do list, and I have to teach a whole time management within the course of my membership, it's called the top 3. What are the top 3 things that I need to do to really make the needle move for whether it's in my work life or my private life? So I handle my top 3, and everything else is a bonus, right?
Yeah.
And so I practice that work-life balance. I guess the third thing would probably be to have a focus goal. And when I say a focus goal, you have to make sure that there was a Harvard study that said 47% of the time our minds are wandering.
Yeah, I read
Okay?
that. Yeah.
Yeah. And
That's what
so
a waste.
yeah. So we really got to bring that and reel it in and focus, because when you have a focus goal, even when I'll mention one of my members again. So Jean wanted to be healthy was her focus goal. Well, we actually broke that down, and she needed to and wanted to lose that weight. Well, we've worked on our mindset. Yes, it has something to do with what you're putting in your mouth and the exercise that you're doing, but I often say, how do you eat an elephant?
Yeah.
One bite at a time. One bite at a time. And so we had to take, and again, that pilgrimage, that journey, and it's one step at a time. And oftentimes it's that first step that's the most difficult. So I say, focus on that first step, and then focus on the next one,
Yeah.
then the next one. And you'll get to where you want to be.
And then you'll look back and then you'll say, how did I ever? I would have never gotten to where I am now had I gotten scared of the journey as opposed to just that one step. Yeah.
Exactly. So those are my 3 tips.
Wow. Thank you. I love talking to you in general and everything that you're saying. I feel like this little dog that is, like
we do have fun
those little figurines that you put on a car when they're bouncing.
Yeah.
And everything you're saying in my head's like up and down. So I'm super, super happy that I had the opportunity again to speak with you here with Tuesday Tea. I would love to pick your brain for as long as I can. Thank you so very much, Lisa, for being a guest and for being here and for sharing your wisdom. If people would like to find you, I will have links to your handles here with me. Thank you everyone for listening and watching Tuesday Tea. Lisa, once again, thank you for being here.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. It always is a pleasure to see your smiling face.
Aw, you're so sweet. Thank you so very much. Take care, everyone.